she stumbles through the fields. She can't see, though she tries. Should've worn her pennant. Now she stumbles. Now she cries. Her skin's red and it burns, and the fields go on for miles. Life sucks you dry. She wonders why. Wonders why.
hosting some kind of gathering of top advisors this evening to talk about how to respond to the Epstein situation?
I don't know. I could ask you that question. I don't know of it, but I think here's the man right here.
President, I know you've urged people to move on, but I'm curious, why do you think your supporters in particular have been so interested in the Epstein story and so upset about how it's been handled? Why do you think that is?
So the different things, the Steele dossier, which was all fake, all that information was fake. But I don't understand why the Jeffrey Epstein case would be of interest to anybody. It's pretty boring stuff. It's sordid, but it's boring. And I don't understand why it keeps going. I think really only pretty bad people, including fake news, want to keep something like that going. But credible information, let them give it. Anything that's credible, I would say let them have it.
Jeffrey Epstein was your neighbour. I would be remiss if I didn't ask you about him. East 71st Street. He was your neighbour for 10 years. How well did you know him?
All right, so we are in number 11, and he lives in number 9.
Right.
So we renovate, we buy our house, and our house is pigeons and mice.
Right.
Okay, that's it. It was derelict.
Right.
So we rebuild our house. We move in 2005. Okay. Jeffrey Epstein is arrested in like 08, I think, or something like that.
Right.
So knock on the door. His assistant on like a Saturday says, Mr. Epstein, your neighbor would like to invite you over for coffee. So my wife and I go next door. You know, we walk the 7 steps,
yes,
right, to the next house for coffee. We share a wall.
Right.
So it's in New York City. So he invites us in. We have coffee in this, and he says, do you want a tour? We said, great.
Interesting.
He's got a really big house.
Every room you went into?
He's got, well, I'll tell you. So his house is like super big, really wide. And so he gives me a tour in the living room, big living room. And then across from it is double doors. I assume it's the dining room.
Yeah.
And he opens the door, and there's a massage table in the middle of the room.
Ooh.
And candles all around and stuff. So I ask very insightful, cutting questions. I say to him, massage table in the middle of your house? How often do you have a massage? And he says, every day. And then he gets weirdly close to me.
Ooh.
And he says, and the right kind of massage.
Ooh.
Now my wife is standing here. So she looks at me and I look at her and we say, I'm sorry, we have to go. And we left. And in the 6 or 8 steps it takes to get from his house to my house, my wife and I decided that I will never be in the room with that disgusting person ever again.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I was never in the room with him socially, for business, or even philanthropy. If that guy was there, I wasn't going because he's gross.
Oh.
And so I look back at it as a gift.
Yes.
He gave me a gift.
Yes.
Of a void. And
Yeah.
so, yeah,
So
that's my story. A one and absolutely done.
Why did the Epstein files show you coordinating a meeting and planning a visit with Jeffrey Epstein on his private island in December 2012?
Thank you for the question. I'm glad to be here to make it clear that I met Jeffrey Epstein when I moved to a house next door to him in New York. Right? And I met him then. Over the next 14 years, I met him 2 other times that I can recall. 2 times. And that is none for 6 years. So 6 years later, I met him. And then a year and a half after that, I met him, and never again. Probably the total, and you've seen all of these documents, of these millions and millions of documents, there may be 10 emails connecting me with him, probably about 10 emails connecting me with him over a 14-year period. I did not have any relationship with him. I barely had anything to do with that person. Okay?
Secretary Lutnick, I think you understand the root of concern here. It's the way you described very emphatically your first encounter with him in his apartment, said you were disgusted, would never have any contact with him again. Did you in fact make the visit to Jeffrey Epstein's private island?
I did have lunch with him as I was on a boat going across on a family vacation. My wife was with me, as were my 4 children and nannies. I had another couple they were there as well with their children, and we had lunch on the island. That is true, for an hour, and we left with all of my children, with my nannies and my wife, all together. We were on family vacation. We were not apart. To suggest there was anything untoward about that in 2012, I don't recall why we did it, but
Mr. Secretary, again, as I said, there's not an indication that you yourself engaged in any wrongdoing with Jeffrey Epstein. It's the fact that you believe that you misled the country and the Congress based on your earlier statements, suggesting that you cut off all contact when in fact you had not. When you visited the private island, did you see anything inappropriate during that visit?
the only thing I saw with my wife and my children and the other couple and their children was staff who worked for Mr. Epstein on that island.
And you realize that, this visit took place after he'd been convicted, right? I mean, you made a very big point of saying that you sensed that this was a bad person in 2005. And then, of course, in 2008, he was convicted of soliciting prostitution of a minor. And yet you went and had this trip and other interactions. Did you have a dinner in Epstein's New York City home in 2011?
No.
So the information that suggests that there was a dinner with Woody Allen and Woody Allen's spouse at the Epstein residence, that's there's nothing to that. Is that right?
I actually don't know what you're referring to. There was, look, I looked through the millions of documents for my name, just like everybody else. And what I found was there was a document that says that I had a meeting with him on in May, I think, for an hour at 5 o'clock.
Okay.
Not dinner or otherwise, for an hour at 5 o'clock.
All right. There's also a reference to the fact that Epstein had expressed an interest in meeting your nanny. Do you know whether Jeffrey Epstein ever met with your nanny?
No, I saw that. I had no idea what that was about. It had nothing to do with me.
No
as far as
interaction
I
at
know.
all with him in there?
No, as far as I know, no.
Would you, Mr. Secretary, be willing to ensure that the file is complete to share with this committee and the Congress your own records, any records you have that relate to Jeffrey Epstein?
I will surely talk about that. I hadn't thought about that. I have nothing to hide. Absolutely nothing.
Right. So, I mean, that's an incredible story that you could pick up that he was a pervert.
It's gross. The guy's gross. Right with my wife. And like, he's gross. The guy's gross. This was not, the deep nuance of Howard Lutnick. This guy's gross.
Right. So how come Bill Gates and all these other people could hang around him and not see what you saw? Or did they see it and ignore it? Or
No, they participated.
right.
That's what his MO was, get a massage. And what happened in that massage room, I assume was on video. This guy was the greatest blackmailer ever. Blackmail people. That's how he had money. So
what happened to those videos? Why is there now such a dearth of information when, Donald Trump's people are running the FBI and the DOJ?
I assume way back when, they traded those videos in exchange for him getting that 18-month sentence, which allowed him to have visits and be out of jail. I mean, he's a serial sex offender. How could he get 18 months and be able to go to his office during the day and have visitors and stuff? It must have been a trade. So my assumption, I have no knowledge, but my assumption is there was a trade for the videos because there were people on those videos.
And have you talked to Donald Trump about this and shared your theory?
No, I mean, he knows the story.
Right.
But
you-
my story that, I was one and done with the guy.
Yeah.
He knows that story, but that's it.
He would have been interested in that story.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's a story. It's just a one and done. That guy. Ugh.
And did Trump feel the same way about him?
I don't speak to him about these kind of, these are just distractions.
Right.
The thing about the president is I'm doing the most important thing that I see. And then right after we do that, he does 10 other things that are as, if not more important, that are not my thing.
Right.
And you're like, wow. And he is great at it. And sometimes he lets me stay. So he lets me stay for the Joint Chiefs of Staff come in.
Right.
I'm like, this is like the coolest thing ever.
You sit here and you attack the president, and I am not going to have it. I'm not going to put up with it. All they want to do, all the American people need to know this. They are talking about Epstein today. This has been around since the Obama administration. This administration released over 3 million pages of documents, over 3 million. And Donald Trump signed that law to release all of those documents. He is the most transparent president in the nation's history. And none of them asked Merrick Garland over the last 4 years one word about Jeffrey Epstein. How ironic is that? You know why? Because Donald Trump, the Dow right now is over. The Dow is over $50,000. I don't know why you're laughing. You're a great stock trader, as I hear, Raskin. The Dow is over 50,000 right now. The S&P at almost 7,000. And the NASDAQ smashing records. Americans' 401ks and retirement savings are booming. That's what we should be talking about. We should be talking about making Americans safe. We should be talking about, what does a Dow have to do with anything? That's what they just asked. Are you kidding?
Mr. Jordan, Mr. Jordan.
Committee will be in order.
Secretary Lutnick today was testifying on the Hill. He said that he had visited Epstein's Island in 2012 with his wife and children. And that's after he said that he had cut ties with Epstein. And Justice Department documents show that he was in contact with Epstein through 2018 over messages. So does the White House stand behind Secretary Lutnick right now? Or given what he has said today, has there been any shift in how the White House is viewing Secretary Lutnick's performance?
No, Secretary Lutnick remains a very important member of President Trump's team, and the president fully supports the secretary.
Okay. I had to get everything right. I know I was on video and you could all see me, but I just wanted to get everything right. So, welcome to Through a Glass Darkly Live. And you're watching us on YouTube. And the intro song was Mark of the Doomslayer by Carl Casey at White Bat Audio. Sorry, I got a little bit of a late start. I got a call or an email from a friend today about some strange happenings that he's had going on all his life, and he actually needed somebody to talk to, and because I kind of do have this show, it just made it easier for him to talk to me. So I went a little bit longer with that because I wanted to make sure he got what he needed. Offered him my Rolodex for anybody that, if he ever wanted to talk to about his specific experiences, that he had it. So anyway, okay, we're going to talk about Iran today, obviously, again, because this again, once you strike a country, things start to have a logic of their own, and it's very easy to escalate things into a ground war. So I never for one moment thought that Trump wanted to have a ground war in Iran, but today, the last 48 hours of events is making that more and more likely, and we'll get into that. But it's basically the train wreck we all expected. I mean, it's not rocket science at this point. But let me just see a few comments. I think I'm missing about 5 or so. Okay. Yeah, I don't even know who she's being replaced by. Maybe I missed that. But if you could put who she's being replaced by. I heard 2 names, but all right. So Solite US Express saying crap. Luis Elizondo got into a really bad motorcycle accident trying to avoid a deer. He crapped all his ribs, punctured one of his lungs from one of the broken ribs, lots of cranial bones broken. He seems to be, that happened a few weeks ago, I think. Okay, Chuck Swindoll. Is this getting longer? I don't know. It should. All right, the firing of Pam Bondi is just a personnel change. It is a public declaration of war. Trump is not fighting the deep state. Or he's not he's not fighting anything. He's fighting his own greed at this point. By framing the Hormuz blockade as a challenge to Western energy sovereignty, he is creating the simplified nationalist narrative needed to justify the energy squeeze to the legacy population. The Hormuz blockade is just, it's a complete unforced error in strategy. Anybody who spent 10 seconds on this problem with Iran is immediately focused on the Strait of Hormuz problem. And when you focus on that, you realize that the U.S. military has 4 minesweepers. They have wooden hulls because, a metallic hull would set off, magnetic mines, basically. So before you even start bombing, you need to have these things in theater so that they can rapidly work to clear the mines. And also you need to have a plan to make sure that if Iran inevitably closes the strait, you can open it by force. The fact that there wasn't a single one of these minesweepers in the Middle East at the time that this thing started, it just points to gross incompetence on the part of the president and the Secretary of War. I'm going to say Secretary of Defense because it's so dumb that they call it that. But like that is, if you're going to start this disaster, you should at least have planned for that. And these morons didn't even do that. So it's just going to get worse. It's going to keep getting worse. Here's the other thing that the media is burying the lead on, but it's extremely important. So the Iranians now have access to something called passive radar. This is one of the biggest secrets in the U.S. arsenal. In fact, when Avi Loeb tried to set up his system, right, where he's detecting UAPs, the U.S. government got super nervous when he was putting passive radar systems to detect UAPs. And the reason passive radar systems are so important is that they don't send out any, I'm oversimplifying it, but they don't send out signals when they're detecting things in their airspace. With traditional radars, when you ping an aircraft, the U.S. military can direction find and then fire a missile right at your radar and make you blind. But it seems like maybe the Chinese or the Russians seeded the Iranians with passive radar systems. So we can't see where these things are now. And it makes it easier for them to track aircraft. I'm seeing all sorts of stuff. I can't tell if it's real or not, but this F-15 Eagle that was shot down, or F-15E that was shot down, was probably located using a passive radar system. That is a huge development, because while the Iranian airspace has been weakened, if they have enough of these things, they'll be able to detect us, and we will no longer have that advantage. Or the U.S. I keep saying we. I mean, it is my country, and I don't want to root. I don't. I don't want Americans to die in a ridiculous war. So but this downing of an F-15. We also had an A-10 Warthog that was heavily damaged, but thankfully, those things are like flying tanks. They're freaking awesome. They sound like they're burping when they fire their 30 millimeter Gatling gun. They're like these anti-tank, just slow moving monsters. One of my favorite aircraft, because as a tanker, these guys had my back. But the fact that somebody was shot down and we had to send a CSAR, a combat search and rescue team, so PJs, the elite of the elite in the Air Force, is not, is scary stuff. And guess where they were shot down? Remember that word that I talked about that nobody in the media is talking about? Probably because it's the target. They were shot down over Khuzestan. Why were they shot down over Khuzestan? Probably because we were bombing targets in Khuzestan. Why were we doing that? Because that's probably where they're going to put ground troops. Again, it's called the Khuzestan Gambit. You send in ground troops to seize that Iranian province, which is right across the border from Iraq. You don't have to do any craziness in the Persian Gulf. You seize it, you capture it, and then you hold it hostage so that the Iranians, make an agreement or deal with the Strait of Hormuz. So, we don't have enough troops to do that sort of operation in theater just yet. But it sounds like over the weekend, there are comments saying that no one, people in the know have said they've never seen more combat power sent to the Middle East than, the last time we're there. So it's definitely escalating. It's clearly escalating. And the fact that we're getting very little news about what the hell's going on. Who knew we were even bombing targets? And I don't even know where we're bombing targets, right? Because they're not telling anybody. Meanwhile, Israel is again off the leash, telling the 600,000 people they evicted out of their homes in southern Lebanon that they can't come back. Right? They basically took the land, and they're starting to bomb the border between Lebanon and Syria for civilians trying to flee. I mean, they're just. I need to look this up because I haven't. I'm not like a biblical scholar, but apparently there's a term in the book of Revelation called the synagogue of Satan. I need to look it up before I make any further comments, but if true, it fits. It really fits. I mean, these people are just like that government, not people, but the government is just, they're getting Israelis killed. I've seen like IDF soldiers being pulled out of tanks and stuff like that, that, you know, a few months ago were probably massacring people in Gaza. So what a mess. What a mess. And none of this would have been happening if we didn't start bombing in the first place. We had a deal. It was a great deal. And the powers that be just aren't competent. They're just incompetent. I mean, that's... So let's see what else we got. Yeah, I hope he has a full and swift recovery as well. All right, this is a critical new piece of intelligence. The coincidence of this disappearance with Russia's YARS ICBM drills suggest a high-stakes covert operation. Say more about this ICBM drills. All right, monitor Chinese listening nodes in Cuba confirms the Russo-China-Iran axis is a real strategic alliance aimed at not just militarily. Well, yeah, of course. I mean, why wouldn't it be? You know, we directly or indirectly killed hundreds, like thousands of Russian soldiers by helping Ukraine. Why wouldn't they strike back? It's fair game. It's totally fair game. Like, for the first time in my lifetime, like, we are clearly the bad guy in this. We're clear. Well, there's a greater bad guy. And I'm not going to say who it is. You can all figure it out. The ones that dragged us into this. All right, she's replaced by Todd. Oh, that's just temporary, though. Yeah, he's terrible. Yeah, he's absolutely terrible. He's basically like not going to investigate into the Epstein stuff. Yeah, completely tone deaf and terrible. There are no mines. There might not be any mines, but the insurance carriers certainly won't let people go in. So that's kind of a problem. But there are also missiles. Like, the Iranians have blown up some oil tankers. All right, so Trump is attempting a hostile takeover of the U.S. intelligence apparatus to gain control of the Epstein files. This is a fight for the... No, he's not. He's in the Epstein files. Like, there's more mentions of him than probably anybody else. No, he's not. He's not at all attempting to do anything. All right, they have incompetent demon-worshipping toddlers running our countries. Time to stand up. Yeah, they probably do. So basically, nothing will change at DOJ. New boss, more of the same old boss. Yep, just more intelligent. Yep. The straight head ship's going through it right now which we didn't have a fee beforehand, right? Now we got a fee, and it's not in petrodollars; it's in yuan, right? So it's just like the status quo ante of what was going on in the Persian Gulf was better before this war than it is after. No, those fees are going straight to Iran. All right, so Michael says the Iranians have the Strait open if you have the money. Strait is closed to us. Yeah, of course. We lost maybe even 2 A-10 Warhogs. I know Well, I think it landed. I think the pilots are safe, and I'm glad the pilots are safe. I'm obviously not rooting for Iran, unless I'm just looking at Iran versus Israel. Then yes, I am rooting for Iran in that case. But against the U.S., I don't want us to be involved. But if we are involved, I don't want any of our soldiers to die, and I want us to, not to minimum loss and all that stuff, and like get us out of there as soon as possible. All right, so Michael Yon and Brandon O'Connell, probably most accurate about what this is really about. Just go watch how it continues to unfold. Yeah, I need to take a look at that. So when do I think we will land our troops there? Seems like a very bad idea. Seems like a replay when Ukraine decided to invade. that one small area in Russia. That didn't work out well. I would give it 60 to 90 days for us to mass combat power. And then, but there's probably already people in there. I mean, there were when we had special forces, at least combat search and rescue, the pararescue guys. So we've already had boots on the ground, clearly. So we'll see. I do remember when I was on the top tier that Michael says the plan is for all countries to deplete their munitions and then come to the table for negotiations. So more wars in other countries. Yeah, I mean, we're certainly depleting our munitions, that's for sure. For the first time in your lifetime, you noticed a bit of, yeah, that's fair. The propaganda was much better. This, they didn't even try to sell it. Yeah, but again, like the USS Boxer and the USS Tripoli, there's not enough combat power on, plus the 82nd Airborne, not enough combat power to go into Khuzestan yet. Hey, Dennis Martin, good to see you. Howdy, howdy. Yeah, Buku movements in the perimeter. They are not turning a resource corridor into a data hub. They are creating a new post-national territory, a state within a state, a new Vatican City. They could do that. Okay, I'm not sure how you'd think you wouldn't be involved when your tax-paying dollars have been funding this shit show for decades. Yeah, well, this shit show is particularly rich. I read that Germany, yeah, that's true. So U.S. expat says that I read that Germany won't allow 18 to 46-year-old men to leave Germany for over 3 months. They have to get permission. Yep. It's scary times. Not enough to hold territory. Yep. Overwhelming air superiority kind of doesn't seem so. Yeah, but here's the thing. We don't have overwhelming air superiority, right? Because the Iranians now have passive radars. So they can still shoot us down. And we can't take out those radars because we can't, they're harder to find. So the other thing is that they have drones, which are, operate on a tactical level, and they're like $50K per drone. They're very easy to mass produce, and they're made of balsa wood. So it's a different animal right now. So we'll see. We have air superiority like at higher altitudes, but when push comes to shove, we're at a strategic level, that's great, but at a tactical level, it'll help, but you're still gonna have these drone swarm attacks that we're not gonna be able to easily counter. Okay, the deleting all my moon comments. That's weird. All right, can't invade while the moon's light is in the sky. You can, but yeah, that's probably true. You probably don't want to do it on a full moon. Hey, students, fuel shortage. Let's go to the moon. I guess that might mean that Germany is planning on entering the war in Ukraine. Yeah, I think so too. Oh boy. All right. That's what I'm saying. We got to have what we don't have. Oh, brother. All right. So first thing I was going to cover. Let me share this. Okay. I don't know why I did that. So share screen. I really hate this new version of this. What the fuck? Sorry, I like the StreamYard changed a few things, and now it's kind of a cluster. It's like a cluster. It's kind of a basic kind of clusterfuck. All right. So the first thing I want to talk about is this is a neat little infographic of all these missing scientists. So that came from the Daily Mail. Of course, I couldn't actually connect in the article, but they're all linked in various ways. So you had General William Neil McCasland, right here. He oversaw funding for Reza's projects. That's Monica Jacinto Reza. So she's missing too. And they're tied to the Air Force Research Laboratory at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. And then he also oversaw research at base at the Air Force Research Laboratory in Kirtland Air Force Base, which is kind of near the town, Albuquerque, where he disappeared. And then there's some base collaborates with Los Alamos National Lab on nuclear research. So this guy, Anthony Chavez, is missing, former employee until 2017. And then his administrative assistant, I don't know if it was his, Melissa Casillas, is also missing. And going back to here, you have Carl Grillmar. He was a scientist working on infrared telescopes, and his work found planet with water. He's dead. McCasland was also widely believed to be the gatekeeper of the Air Force's technology related to UAPs. And you have Frank Malwald, who's a top scientist detecting signs of alien life. Both worked for NASA JPL. And then the director of materials processing group was who Monica Jacinto Reza worked for. I think she disappeared in Los Angeles. So weird shit going on with that. So that's number one. Meanwhile, the Mad King Bone Spur is threatening that Iran has 48 hours to reopen the Strait of Hormuz again as a search for they found one U.S. crew member, thank God, and hopefully they will find another crew member hopefully soon. I think there's the Wizzo, like the weapons officer, is the one that's missing. So, and again, there was some kinetic fighting. So American forces rescued the pilot, an A-10 Warthog that was part of the search and rescue. And the A-10's not just there to like look around; they're there to like shoot stuff. But it took fire and was damaged. The Warthog pilot ejected of the Persian Gulf and was successfully recovered. And then we're playing games with the niece and grandniece of the slain Iranian Revolutionary Guard, Major General Qasem Soleimani. They're arrested in the U.S. after their lawful permanent resident status was terminated, and they were just living in Los Angeles. And then there's an apparent Iranian drone attack that damaged the Dubai headquarters of the American tech giant Oracle after paramilitary Revolutionary Guards threatened the firm. Again, this is owned by Larry Ellison. They're trying to control all information in the United States. They also own, I think, CBS, at least the Sun. And the Sun, David Ellison owns, or is taking over CNN. Like, they're just trying to control everything, as well as they're kind of going into AI. Like, Oracle's kind of bad news. So I'm not going to make a judgment call there, but. And then we have a total of 365 American service members have been injured as part of U.S. operations against Iran. So it's not great. Meanwhile, we got Israel, as I mentioned earlier. It says it's going to strike the Lebanon-Syria border crossing. So again, it's MO, killing civilians, killing people that can't defend against them, against their aggression. Just, the usual. Why are we allied with these people? And by the way, for like the third time, they attacked the Iranian person that was trying to negotiate a close to this war with I think I attacked him and they killed him. So anytime we try to get out of this stupid war to come to an agreement, the Israelis sabotage it. Like, they are the worst allies you could possibly imagine. First, they drag us into a war that only benefits them and it just harms us in every possible way. And then, they continue to commit war crimes left and right, like it's their job, and they prevent us from getting out of the stupid war that they drug us into. So, not a fan at all. Okay, so this is what's important. So Iran's military command said that it deployed a new air defense system to strike U.S. jets that had downed on Friday and promised Tehran it would. This is what I was talking about with these passive radar systems. Okay, so it looks like they killed a lot of. Now Iranian media is saying 4 soldiers were also killed, but who knows? I hope not. I really hope not. So, anyway. Let me see what else we have. And apparently, this is the first, I don't know, who knows? This could be BS. First video shows heavy clashes between U.S. Air Force combat search and rescue teams and RRGC Basij militants attempting to capture the second F-15E crew member who had been given shelter by villagers in QE Shia, Guldasht County, Iran. The A-10 C-plus pilot protecting the HHC-6. I think these are like Pave Hawk or something like that. CSAR helicopters launched guided rockets at the besieged militants, killing them before they could capture the crew member.
Ya Khoda, Ya Khoda.
There you go. And this looks like looks like Nightmare Terrain in there. Anyway. All right, that's kind of what I had from that perspective. So, what a mess. That's all I can say is what a mess. All right, let's see. All right, in and out on moonless night, but out before dawn. Good for regional military leadership. So reports are claiming that Israel's Iron Dome defenses will be depleted by Tuesday. Oh, I thought they were already depleted. They're moving the godlike computing power of the Onion systems and the biological immortality tech of the rejuvenation foundries in the Tian Shan Mountains. China? This is not just for security, it's a place beyond the reach of any future legal or moral authority. The Cambrian shield, they are using the Earth itself as the ultimate Faraday cage. So like U.S. expat is saying, I also recall that Michael at some point, or said at some point, that the Russians will go all the way up to the Rhine River in Germany. The demolition project, he said, as I recall. I guess that happens after Germany enters the war. Yeah, I mean, that's basically what the Russians would do. The Germans can't really defend themselves without us, and they're trying to kick us out, so who knows? The whole military strategy in any war is to gain air supremacy. From there, you can project or protect your own supply lines and whatnot. We don't have that in Iran. We have like pseudo air superiority, but now that they have passive radar systems, it's going to be a lot harder. Monsters don't have loyalty. Why do you think that they took out the guy who discovered water on an exoplanet? Because he discovered other things, probably, that are classified he's not allowed to talk about. All right, before I stopped in to say I was listening about Bobby Hemmett talk about melanin, that it is the ultimate acid, weird speech anyway. Maybe a demolition project from the 13 Bloodlines. Back end foibles. Hey, Swede. All right, what the hell does he think these threats are doing, or is Iran going? Iran is going to go tit for tat. They will take out power. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Trump isn't exactly a strategist. All right, I assume there's some serious Yeah, of course. There's definitely blackmailing Trump, in my opinion. What it is, I don't know, but it can't be good. I don't believe the science on what exoplanets are. It can be trusted without verification, and we can't verify their accuracy, so take their discoveries with a spoonful of salt. Yeah. So like Yos Expat says, I remember listening to some rabbi many years ago. He said, before the state of Israel was created, Jews and Muslims were, of course they were living in peace in Palestine. They worship the same demon. Like Theo Vaughn said on Rogan, they are the terrorists, for sure. So where are they getting these passive radar systems? I can't remember who said it, but maybe Russian S-300s or S-400s. Yeah, or Chinese. I don't know. It's from one of those two. Has this become a war channel? It has always been paranormal and geopolitics. It has always been from the beginning. And I'm just kind of talking about, and I studied this problem in detail when I was in graduate school. It was my master's thesis, so I can't not talk about it. We can talk about paranormal stuff too, if somebody has something on their mind that we can dive into. Strike off. Yeah, the topography of all of Iran is brutal. Okay, that makes full sense. Yep. Trump's mouth right. Yeah, that's right. Trump's mouth right checks his butt. Well, not his ass. It's not even his ass. It's our ass. Can't cash. Yeah, he never pays for any of, his entire life has been that way. He just dumps his problems onto somebody else. Claims victory and walks away. All right, Turkey has S-300, but with no codes to use them. That's weird. All right, let's see how we are doing. All right, pretty okay. Doing okay. All right, what else? I could also talk. Well, let's see. Whoa. He was born on third. Yeah, but thinks he hit a triple. Yeah, he was born on third base. That's right, but thinks he hit a triple. That's basically what he's all about. I read that our F-47s won't go into service now until 2040. The graft is real. The grift is real. Who knows? It's all extremely disappointing. Extremely disappointing. But yeah, we might be in a hot war. By the way, my remote viewing team, please check out that thing about the April future events. They saw a crushing victory, whatever that means, sometime in August. When I asked the remote viewer who saw that, who had the crushing victory, he didn't know. Right? So a lot of the audience did not like my comments on that particular episode. I got really bad ratings, at least personally, because they couldn't believe I would ask the question. Are you kidding me? How could the Iranians have a crushing victory? I don't know. They could sink an aircraft carrier, right? They could do any number of things. Oh, tomorrow is the first Bledsoe prediction. Tomorrow's Easter. Happy Easter, everybody, by the way. All right, we need Lib to be kind of back. I'd like to see if he has any update. Yeah, I actually I've been thinking about that, actually. I just haven't had time to reach out to him because I need 2 more episodes for this month because I'm short 2 episodes. Yeah, you're right. No one does win at war. Karl Haushofer. I don't know who Karl Haushofer is. Say more. But Dennis Martin is saying paranormal and geopolitics go hand in hand. Just look at one. Karl Haushofer. Huh. ABC News just reported about UFOs, so the mainstream is finally catching up. I guess so. Oh, Bobby Jones, if we really, really wanted to win at any cost, we would win. But the casualty numbers would be horrific. And there would be like intense violence at home. What do I think about Turkey? Erdogan always knows what side his bread is buttered on. Well, I think if we continue to indulge Israel and fight their wars, Israel has already publicly stated that Turkey is next. So maybe if maybe if we're lucky, Turkey attacks Israel, but I doubt that happens. That's very true. If they did sink it, that would really hurt us. Yeah, that would be a short-term crushing defeat. All right, it is the 0.01%. They're set to take me, probably. Yeah, I think we did. It kept coming up in sessions. Yes, Nick Putnam. Yes, so Nick Putnam asks, is the crush and victory thing from the future forecasting April video you posted yesterday? Yes, that's the video. So if you go to my community tab, you can watch it there. And please say something positive about me because I'm getting destroyed because they're saying I'm biased, and they don't watch for politics. It's not. It's just geopolitical analysis. Anybody with half a brain and looked at the problem knows that what Trump did was retarded. I don't know where the word Gomez came from. Yeah, I got caught on it, and I didn't know what to do, so I just didn't say it. As long as Erdogan is in place, nothing will happen. Yeah, probably. A guy told me. Well, they have U.S. nukes on Turkish soil at Incirlik Air Force Base, I think. So, anyway. We should do a poll. Let's do a poll. Why not? All right, I got one. This is an easy one. Okay. All right. So I'm going to hide it in a moment. But will the United States attack Khuzestan in the next 90 days? 1, just type in 1 if it's a yes. 2 if it's a no. 1 if yes. 2 if no. Okay. Go. I can't believe I'm like betting on this. Not betting, but having a poll on this. But it's so dumb. But literally, if there is any ground operation, that is the only place in the entire theater that makes any sense. Right? So we will see. Not that it makes sense, but okay. Exactly. Just his actions, and he's doing everything the opposite of what people wanted. All right, so I'm just gonna. Okay, what am I doing? All right, let's just see. All right, not a lot of votes so far. Now remember, Khuzestan is the province that's closest to Kuwait and Iraq, that has the majority of the oil wealth in Iran? So it is on the southwest corner of Iran, next to Kuwait and Iraq. Will be Zozak's there? I don't know. Oh, Cossacks. No. They do whatever they need to keep the war going because they profit hard. Yeah. Maybe. Oh, I got another good poll. Then yeah. Well, just vote. Vote. 1 if yes, 2 if no. We're going to be entering a global depression from what I heard if this keeps up another 4 weeks or so. The people back home will start robbing people just for food. Yeah, I just purchased a pew pew for that exact scenario. They are. That's a good question. They're probably Shiite, but they're Arabs. They're not Persian, like the majority of the population there. Moon mission. I mean, they already did. They just sent something up, I think. The question was, will the U.S. invade Khuzestan in the next 90 days? 1 is yes, 2 is no. Okay. Okay, let me just see how the poll's doing. All right, we got like 10 people voted. So I'm going to stop the poll. I'm going to show the results. So 70% of you think we're going to do some ground madness. So we'll see. Let's do a new poll. Which cabinet member will be fired next? Okay. What the hell's his name? Trying to think if there's anybody else that comes to mind. I probably can't do that. Oh. All right, here we go. Here's a good one. I'm gonna put this up for a little bit. I'm just gonna show it before you can vote. Oops. Oh, I guess I have to start the stupid poll. So, which cabinet member will be fired next? Okay. So, Hegseth, the sow, which is like a pig, Secretary of War, Tulsi Gabbard, who's the DNI, Kash Patel, FBI, and Howard Lutnick, the Secretary of Commerce. Okay. All right, people are already starting to vote. So just memorize those, like pick the option in your head, okay? And then I'm going to hide it, okay? So you can vote without being unduly influenced by others. All right, here we go. All right, you got it? Well, okay, people are already voting. Wow. Well, that was pretty decisive. I'll give folks a little bit more time to vote. I got to find out where I left off. Okay. Oops. All right. I'm like all over the place here. Yeah. Let's got the Peace Prize. Unreal. Can you put a price on peace? No, you don't, to remote view, you just need eight characters. That's it. 8 characters, randomized characters. Okay, right. So she's fired nothing but women. That's an interesting insight. Oh yeah, speaking of which, he Khuzestan fired like 12 generals. And by the way, did you see he fired the head chaplain? I heard an interesting theory about why he fired the head chaplain. Because the head chaplain is the one that processes conscientious objectors. So apparently Khuzestan wanted them all denied. All right, let's see. All right, they got Trump's daughter, so he has to do what they want. Yeah, Lutnick needed to go yesterday. They all need, fair. Lots of Pennywise eyes. The Russia-Ukraine war has entered its 5th year. Current focus is on a potential Easter prisoner exchange while Russia continues strategic Yars ICBM drills in Siberia. There's a nuclear signal. Yeah, so their Orthodox Easter, I think, is a week after ours. So it's not tomorrow. It's like next week. Yeah, I don't think Trump's going to finish his term either. He's either going to die of natural causes or he's going to be impeached, as he should be for this wreck that he's created. So Lutnick is blackmailed via the Epstein network when he goes. Yeah, well, he's controlling. He's obviously appears to be Trump's handler. So to remote view in the protocol, each target has a randomized set of variables. So it might be like Charlie 105 -12 Kilo 6. That corresponds to the target that you're remote viewing. The remote viewers don't know what that target is. They just have to report what they perceive. And then sometimes the analyst doesn't know what they're looking for, prior to that remote viewing either. So it's double blind typically. Anybody who says they remote view without that protocol, they're not remote viewing. They're full of shit. They might be doing some sort of psychic sensing, but it's not remote viewing. So, I actually just recorded an episode with David Morehouse, and he hammers that point every time. Lutnick is Mossad Rothschild's agent. He's running things via, yeah, probably. Yep. The 8 characters are known as coordinates, but this does not refer to geographic coordinates. It used to, but at the very beginning, it used to, but no, they don't. Spiritual ascension, unless you were trained in the military protocol, it's not remote viewing. It might be some sort of psychic mind sight or sensing or whatever, but it's literally not remote viewing. Okay, isn't that freaking illegal to not? Yeah, probably. It's probably illegal. It's probably 100% illegal. Okay. I hope he's impeached. I hope he gets destroyed in the midterms and he gets impeached. And again, I voted for the guy 3 times, not because I like him, not because I think he's smart. It's just the alternative all 3 times in the last few elections was so important to me that I didn't have a choice. Now I just won't vote. Yeah, that's true. Hegseth will be kept long enough to be the fall guy. Gandalf, I think you're right. They have wooden drones undetectable. Yeah, but I'm sure there's metallic elements. There have to be metallic elements in those drones, right? There are definitely metallic elements in those drones. Tulsi won't lie for Trump. She will go. She's Hindu and a woman. It's a top tier. Oh, sorry. I should post the results. All right, so 11 people voted. 75% thought it was going to be Patel. And then not a single person thought it was going to be Lutnick. Isn't that sad? Isn't that sad that the most disgusting, like, unethical guy is like totally fine. Totally fine. All right. So I hide that. Let's see how things are going otherwise. Okay, so a top-tier non-equilibrium plasma physicist linked to the Russian-Iran axis vanished in late March 2026. This disappearance coincides with glitches in the Artemis enhanced microwave targeting. Yeah, it could be a tit for tat sort of thing, where maybe the Iranians or the Russians are striking at our scientists. Yep, it's definitely it's blind or double blind. It's not necessarily always double blind, but spiritual ascension. Like, I know people who were trained by people who literally invented the protocol. That's not correct. It's not correct. Okay. Like, people who were trained personally by Ingo Swann and trying to remember other people. So you can't, remote viewing as the protocol works, you can't know what your target is. Otherwise, it's just your imagination. Or it can be, or it can conflict with your imagination. Hold on, my camera went rogue again. Jesus Christ. I really don't appreciate when it does that. Okay. Yeah, it's not, remote viewing is a term that was coined by the military. So, like, one of the biggest problems with remote viewing is there's a ton of people out there who are literal frauds claiming that they can remote view, and then when you ask them where they learned how to do it, they can't explain. Are they doing some sort of psychic sensing or mind sight? Sure. Like, there are ways to do things that produce similar results to remote viewing, but it is technically not remote viewing. I've heard a group of remote viewers are predicting a big explosive event for April. Who knows? It would be so sad for your reputation that who will be next Logan Paul? I don't know. Any idea what the government is using now as far as remote viewing goes? I mean, they're still using remote viewing. They're doing it quietly, right? So it's not classified. It's not, and I think they're using, in my opinion, like the future forecasting group, there's certain targets that we get that we're like, why are we viewing this target? And it's probably because someone in the intelligence community seeded it to have us look at it, because they have intelligence from other sources. And I'm not going to say more than that. It's just my pure speculation on my part, but I think that's how they're doing it. Yeah, Elizabeth April is not a remote viewer. 100% she's not a remote. In fact, it came up in the future forecasting group. They're like, who the fuck is this? And why are they, who taught her how to remote view? And she claims that future forecasting group taught her how to do it. And everybody in the future forecasting group is like, we don't even know who this person is. She is a pure bullshitter when it comes to this. So, like, she's very likely to get a cease and desist letter, by the way. So, like, this is serious stuff. Elizabeth April is she might be psychic, she might be whatever, but she is not a fucking remote viewer. Like, this literally came up in the last 48 hours. And people, like, actual remote viewers are actually pretty fucking pissed off about it. So, yeah, she's very likely to get a cease and desist letter because she's lying about how she became a remote viewer and all that stuff. At least how it came into us. Maybe how it came into us was wrong. Maybe she was trained by somebody affiliated with the original Stargate program. But if you cannot trace your lineage back to that, like one of the original military groups, you are not doing what you think you're doing. Is not remote viewing. It's something else. It might be something psychic sight, whatever, mind sight, but it is not remote viewing. Yeah, Israel is totally demonic, by the way. So One Eye Atlas, I honestly didn't vote, but I would have voted for my dog before I vote. Yeah, I would have voted for Satan before I voted for Kamala Harris. Let's see. Scientists, especially in, okay. There's also a specific field required to prevent the stratospheric aerosols from decohering under high intensity microwave pressure. Yeah, Lutnick, Trump's handler. Lutley got the supervillain element. Yeah. Nothing wrong with that. She obviously wouldn't have done as much damage as Trump is doing. We can agree to disagree. Like, yes, it's a natural ability, but you can call it psychic sensing, but literally remote viewing has a very specific definition. Okay, Proto-Saturn. Okay. All right, so spiritual, the ability is inherent in humans. The protocol provides for a method to exercise the capability. That's right. So, yeah, the ability to see outside of space and time has 100% spiritual ascension. It is something that every human can do, but the specific protocol on how to do it in a specific way is remote viewing. It's not a catch-all. Yeah, clairvoyance would be like you'd have clairvoyance and clairaudience and clairsentience, and remote viewing would be a subset. I think that's in a Venn diagram. So people who are clairaudient, clairsentient, and clairvoyant, some are remote viewers, but not all are remote viewers. But all remote viewers are either clairaudient, clairsentient, clairvoyant, or some mixture of the above. Yeah, fixing. Guess who was talking about fixing the voting system? Fucking Lutnick. So you can assume that's FUBAR too. Like, it's just. Yeah, thank you for resolving that times piece. You don't trust her at all. Who's her? Yep. They do exactly that, Lucy. What is my opinion? I don't know anything about the Intuitive Underground. I would have to look into them. Yeah, he did pass away. I think it just recently. I don't even know if it was last month. It may have been like a few days ago. But yeah, he passed away. It's just end of an era, man. Ed Dames is one of the original remote viewers at Project Stargate. He was a colleague of Lynn Buchanan and Skip Atwater and David Morehouse, etc. Yeah, Elizabeth April is an opportunist at the least. I don't think she is psychic, just using her attraction. She's definitely using her attractiveness. There's no doubt about it. This is spiritual ascension. That's exactly what I said, Sean. The liberal remote viewers, second house, are pretty good. Yeah, I don't know who they are. There's an Android app to learn. Maybe that is how Elizabeth learned. Maybe, but who made the app? Was it somebody who, I don't know. Yeah. I think it's somebody just, again, it's a natural human ability, but what you're doing is not the protocol that the military teaches. If they don't give you coordinates, it's not the military protocol. Okay. Yeah, that's true. Unfortunately, anybody that doesn't possess abilities will be very quick to shut others down who do. Yep. Yeah. Something on Coast to Coast. I don't know who YA is. On Coast to Coast, a lot of dames. Yeah, they called him Dr. Doom on Coast to Coast because he kept talking about really bad stuff. Yep, Californication. Yep. Psychic spies from China try to steal your mind's elation, and little girls from Sweden dream of silver screen quotation. Solite US expat is writes, from what I read, Ed Dame's job was as of a monitor really only got trained to maybe stage 3, and he made up his own protocols after. I don't know about the third part, but the first 2 parts are kind of what David Morehouse has said publicly. Christ. That's a good way to spell it. Oh my God. The animals have been very, very strange recently. Like they're getting really close. I don't know why. It's really bizarre. Like I went out to the park today for the first time in like forever. And I had a raven circling around me and my son and I, or me and my son, within like 5 feet. And then the same thing happened with a red-tailed hawk. Just came right up to us, flew around, and then took off. Lots of weird animal behavior. Maybe it's related to this Bledsoe thing. But also Bledsoe has, if nothing happens tomorrow, it might happen in September. Can you touch on Gerald the Dolphin? Who is Gerald the Dolphin? Say more. I'm confused. I have 2 owls hanging out. Owls are the best. In fact, it's getting so weird. I was remarking to my wife last night that I haven't heard coyotes in a while. And within 10 minutes, coyotes behind our house started howling. It's getting that kind of bizarre. It could be. I've heard a theory that remote viewing uses morphic resonance, your future self sending the target back to you. That's possible. That's like a Eric Wargo kind of explanation. Owls work with their mates. Yeah, that's true. Let me see. Let's see how we're doing. All right, we're doing all right. Oh boy. Tourists are feeding foxes. Yeah, I had a strange experience with a gray fox. We were just staring at each other. He was like 3 feet from my face, and we were just looking at each other like late at night. It's bizarre. Yeah, I don't know. I like ravens. I like hawks, and I like owls. All right, so Gerald has his Sulfin kidnapped a human being to build on an underwater city. I don't even know what that means. I don't know if peanuts work. I heard like unsalted almonds work. Gerald the Dolphin. Oh, cool. I have a hound in my family, in my father's coat of arms. Yep. Yeah, I can see that. They're extremely intelligent. That story is complete BS from an underwater dolphin. Human was arrested on the beach writing weird sigils in the sand. When he was examined, he had marine particles in his lungs. That's weird. No. What happened? Lazar's on all the time, so I'm just like, I've heard this story a billion times. He's not going to say anything new, so why does he keep having him on? But what happened with Rogue and getting Lazar drunk? Yeah, that seems like spiritual ascension. That story seems pretty not credible. I have no idea what you. I don't know. That seemed like a non sequitur. I don't know what that's referring to. But what's the deal with Rogan getting did that happen? Did that happen on a show? What's the thing? Oh, here we go. Rogan got him on the podcast again and got him drunk. It's just weird. He did the same thing to Alex Jones. Alex Jones is entertaining when he's sauced. Yeah, I know. I've interviewed Courtney Brown. He said he has meetings with aliens and I don't know what to believe with that guy. I don't know. Like, he's very sincere. He's very intelligent. Who knows? All this stuff could be true, and we just don't see it. But I don't see anything like this in my personal life. Nothing. So yeah, the truth is in wine. Yep. In vino. What is it? In vino veritas, or the Romans would say in vino veritas. In wine, truth. I don't know how I know Latin for that phrase. I have no idea why, but that's the Latin. In wine, truth. In vino veritas, or veritas. Sorry. Yes. It's probably in vino veritas. I don't think they pronounce the V. I met this magician last night in Seoul. He got every card correct that I chose. Made the card's faces disappear, cards change color, and he gave me 2 coins that I had in my fist. He told me to pick one, and the one I picked was in my hand and out of my hand. Yep, in Vulgate Latin. The question is Vulgate Latin the correct Latin? I don't speak Latin. Magicians are definitely real. Talking dolphins, I don't know. Oh boy. So Maggie Smith is saying Courtney has a big ego. He chastises members for not wanting to get the COVID jab. Oh God, spoke to us like children. Yikes. Okay, yeah, it's the original. So in vino veritas. Oh, for the dolphin language? Yeah, maybe. Ecclesiastical Latin anglicizes Latin. I believe that. You know, it was illegal to interact with wild dolphins. Illegal. I believe that. I totally believe it. I mean, it's illegal to bring feathers in your house that you pick up off the ground, like at least raptor feathers, like raven, hawk, owl. It is like a $15,000 fine if you do that. Yeah. Vatican Marionette Orchestration Arcade. Who knows? I don't think everything you say is far-fetched. Spiritual Ascension. It says, don't think everything I say is so far-fetched. You'll see when you're ready. Yeah, I would place it on the spectrum. There's things you say that I think are totally within bounds, and there's things that you say that are harder for me to believe. It doesn't mean that they're not true. It's just on the. I look at everything as terms of like likelihoods, and the dolphin thing is kind of on the far end of it. It doesn't mean it's not true. I would imagine eagle feathers are illegal because people were hunting them. I remember a North Korean woman saying to a journalist, "You Westerners will never understand why we don't make fun of the leader. If she was thinking that we make them worse with that energy." I don't know. Roger Claiborne is saying there's a place in Florida where you can pay to swim with dolphins. My aunt hugged it and got a picture hugging it. Just a thought about her thought. Okay, is Rocky the remote viewer still around? I don't know anything about Rocky the remote viewer. Exotic birds are up in price. I got my bird for $600. Now is $3K to $7K. Good Lord. Eagle feathers are used to cut psychic cords. All right, look, I never bought the dolphin narrative either, but don't be quick to discredit such things. Well, I'm not discredit. Like, I just, I would need to know more about the story. On the face, it's. I'm not discounting anything because, So eagle feathers quite literally shift negative energy. That's possible. Yeah, I've never seen an eagle around where I live, but I think they are like up in the mountains. I've seen one there. Huh. Oh, he's a remote viewer for Courtney from time to time. Yeah, I think I've seen something like that. Iran says it will open the gates of hell if U.S. and Iran. Nobody can beat us ever. We shall see. All right, let's see how we're doing. All right, what else? Whoop. Oh, here we go. All right, so Spiritual Ascension saying, Sean, what are your thoughts on the moon mission? Are you buying it? I don't know anything about it. I don't believe anything the government puts out anymore. So, I mean, my default is I don't believe it. Now, could some of it be true? Sure, but whatever they say it is, that's not the truth. Are aspects of it true? Probably. So, all right, so the controlled remote viewing protocol is a structured 6-stage process designed to minimize AOL, analytical overlay. The authored egos attempt to guess the target. That is 100% correct. It's not always a 6-stage process. It depends on which version Ingo taught people, but generally it's 6 stages. Sometimes some protocols have 7 stages, like the Hawaiian Who knows? There might be classified stages beyond 7, but who knows? So unlike the Monroe Institute's HemiSync, which seeks an altered state, CRV is formed in an alert, wide awake state to maintain a clear signal-to-noise ratio. Generally, that state, though, is alpha, like the alpha brainwave state, which is slightly altered a little bit. You can't fence sit everything. You're right, but the things I can't fence sit are things that I personally experience. Like there's a difference between belief and knowledge. I fence sit the stuff that I don't directly experience, right? Like precognition, I don't fence it. That shit is real because I've personally experienced it. And, you know, remote viewing is real because I've personally seen it work. Those are the only things I can say without a doubt are real. Yep. It's performed while in our alpha brainwave state, relaxed awake. Yep. Depending on which version you use, if you use Lynn Buchanan's version, it stands for controlled remote viewing. If you use Morehouse's version, it stands for coordinate remote viewing, but it's roughly the same thing. So extended remote viewing differs extensively. Yep. And that's correct. I don't, if there is a way, it's classified. Interesting. Yeah, they probably are trying to control remote viewers. I 100% think that's what's happening. Right? Because there's certain things that they want to, they want people looking at. All right, how are we doing? All right, as a new dad, it's been weird to experience psychic communication with my baby. Yeah, it's 100% real. It's 100% real. Yeah, Chad, like something burger or whatever. Yeah, that's definitely always an interesting one. Yeah, they have. It's alpha wave brain state, unless they're doing ERV, extended remote viewing, which is theta wave state. Yep, Father Ripperger. Yeah, so Jamal is correct. I'm going to tell you a story. So I once had this really bizarre dream where, like, there was this woman in my dream, probably in her 60s, with white hair. And it was like pseudo amorous, that makes no sense. And right about when I was about to do something, my son walked in the dream, and said hello, hey dad, whatever. The next morning, my son kind of came in my bedroom, and said, "Hey daddy, why were you with Mrs. So and so in the dream?" And I said, who's Mrs. So and so? And he said, "Oh, that's my teacher." I was just kind of curious. I'm like, "Well, what does she look like?" And he described the woman in my dream. So he was in my dream. That stuff does happen. It happens. Let's see. Maybe they have remote influencing. Remote killing, they actually experimented with that at Fort Bragg with goats, and the guy was successfully killed with a goat that way. And then it haunted him for the rest of his life because it has a sympathetic aspect to it. But they have something called remote influencing, where they try to influence somebody remotely. Yeah, but there's also CRV is also coordinate remote viewing under David Morehouse. If you take it from David Morehouse, it's coordinate remote viewing. Maybe. He gets into trouble a lot. Like, he heard a chainsaw today outside, and he said, Daddy, I want to get a chainsaw and chainsaw my classmates. Like, he says shit like that. You're like, oh my God, don't ever, ever, ever say that around other people. So yeah, so Jamal said, my baby got in my dream, told me she needed help and where she was at, woke up in a second, and she was right where she showed me and didn't know how to open the door. Yeah, I believe it. I believe it. Anyway. Yeah, for some reason I'm getting a lot more views on StreamYard tonight, but I'm not seeing it manifest in what's it called? YouTube. Yeah, I think there's something on Twitter. Somebody just responded to this live stream saying that with something, the best part of waking up is Donald Trump is. I think he thinks I'm a Trump derangement syndrome person, and it's just no. I just don't appreciate when people are literally retarded. like the decision to like bomb Iran the way it was done was literally retarded. And so it's not Trump derangement. I really don't care what happens to Trump, or like I don't really even think about that. I just think about decisions that are made, and I evaluate the decision based on its rationale and logic. And you all know from the beginning, from the moment we started bombing, I said this was going to be a disaster, and I've been right every step of the way because I analyzed the problem in detail. Anyway, I'm not gonna go into that. FEMA gut at Waffle House. I don't know what that means. Oh, Kerp. Yeah, I've been thinking. I don't want to abuse the friendship by asking, but I would love to do a 4-claw summit. That would be a show I would do, like a live stream show I would do, where we would just get 4 White Claws and then talk for 2 hours. Who knows what that would be? No, I mean, remote viewing is only like 60 to 70% accurate, so there's going to be some misses. Absolutely, be some misses. All right, back to Latin. My geek is coming out. Classical and Vulgate are similar in how it was originally spoken. Ecclesiastical has more of a modern Italian pronunciation. 3 years of Latin in high school. Yeah, he's got some bad fruit. He might. Like, he's really good at doing really stupid things and like pulling out an amazing outcome out of his ass, out of nowhere. I really hope he does that. I really hope he does that. Yep. Yeah, because you can't trust one viewer alone. Staying home, bro. And other times, he's a fantastic marketer. That's where his strength is. But he's not a strategist, and it's showing. So, and I just like, if he had just tried to sell the American people, he could have easily avoided this mistake, but he didn't. He just listened to, his Israeli handlers, and now we're where we are. He also said some nice words about me too. So did Danny Jones. Same episode. Kerp is great. I love Kerp. Kerp is the greatest. He takes care of his friends. He really does. Like, he goes out of his way to make sure he mentions people that he likes or that he watches. He is a fantastic human. Is it him or is it his advisors? Look, I know you spent time in the military, Timepiece Adventures, so like the buck stops at the person who's running the show is responsible for everything that happens on their watch. And so I hold him accountable for it. Now, are his advisors retarded? Yes. Like Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff have they are not strategists. They are not negotiators. They are Israeli agents, likely Israeli agents. So they're just feeding them bad information. All right, so you see what's going on now. Spiritual Center say Rogan called out a guy he had on his show for being marbles for calling out truths. Now everybody's going around saying he can't backpedal now. He's on an obvious plant. Maybe, who knows? I'm not going to comment on it because, Kerp has a very high opinion of him, and I trust Kerp's opinion of him because he knows him. He's a friend. So Trump lies too much and has shown he will do or say whatever it takes to get what he wants. Can't trust people who will deceive you to get what they want. Elitists think it makes, yeah. Yeah, he's super black pilled. I think that's fair. I think that's fair. Yeah, I see it in this space too. Like, somebody will start a YouTube channel 3 years after me, and they'll rocket past me, and it's just like, that's not. I'm not gonna say names, but you all probably know. Do show on plasma with him. I have to study up on plasma though. I need to read that book, A New Science of Heaven. Maybe, right? Like, I just see people who are just not smart, not talented, and they just rocket from zero to hero in like a year. And it just doesn't make any sense unless they're like astroturfed. Yeah, I think that's right. But I won't say specifically. I won't talk specifically because I honestly don't have evidence of it. It's just suspicion. Yep. Okay, because they will put the distorted narrative they want to be pushed in order to confuse the spiritual community and the real goats. Yep. Yeah, it keeps getting recommended, which it's either a good book or it's the narrative that they want you to follow. So I'm just putting that. I'm not saying that's what it is, but you have to be careful. It's like a lighter day today. Although it must be doing great on yeah, I think it's doing well on whatchamacallit, on X. Apparently, there's an extremely large anomaly captured on video in the skies of Astana, Kazakhstan. Whatever the hell that means. Oh, it sounds like the second crew member from the downed F-15E recovered following heavy firefight. Good. Oh boy. 14 minutes ago, Iranian army warns of massive historic surprise tonight. The Iranian army announced a massive surprise tonight that the world will remember for centuries, according to Iranian state media. What the hell does that mean? Yeah, and apparently Trump killed 50 more leaders tonight in Iran. That's going to help. It's called like the new science of heaven or the science of heaven. No. the RV that the Future Forecasting Group did, the RV that they saw was that he doesn't complete this term. And they describes a figure that's kind of like Vance taking over. So it sounds like Trump doesn't finish this term. Yep. Yeah, it's the science of heaven. Oh, I was frozen? No, we'll see. All right. I quickly got to the end. So, I'm sorry I started like 10 minutes later than I normally start. It's just, there's a friend I needed to help out. So, let's see. According to a psychic, Trump will be empowered till 2030 due to some worldwide. Yeah, future forecasts like the remote viewers, they're not always right, but they saw him, someone like him, dying in office. Wasn't like hopefully natural causes, if that, but anyway. Thank you, Spiritual Ascension. I appreciate you. Elitist mindset and goals lead to a lot of misery for everyone else. Yeah, 100%. All right. Anyway, thank you everyone for watching. Good night. God bless and have a fantastic week. Happy Easter. And, we'll see we'll see if Blitzo's prediction happens tomorrow. It might not, in which case he still has until September for it to actually happen. So good night. God bless and see you all next week.
She's dancing in the field, and the sun is she stumbles, now she cries. Her skin's red and it burns, and the fields go on for miles. Life sucks you dry, she wonders why. Wonders why.
breaking news.
She's dancing in the field, and the sun is in her eyes. Thousands are one in her eyes. So she stumbles through the field. She can't see, though she tries. Should've worn her pennant. Now she stumbles. Now she cries. Her skin's red and it burns, and the fields go on for miles. Life sucks you dry. She wonders why.